The Sports Scouting Report with Lee Burkeen, brought to you by Harvey Autos in Shreveport, Bossier City, the name you've trusted for years. Geico, the insurance savings you expect. Supreme Chevrolet, expect more from Supreme Automotive Group and Gonzalez. Total Car Care, tire shop and automotive repair in Baton Rouge. Bollinger Shipyards, 75 years of delivering high-quality vessels. And the Bugman, we get them before they get you. Here's your host, Lee Burkeen.
Hi everyone, Lee Burkeen, your host of the Sports Scouting Report podcast. Hope everybody's having a great week. You saw the part 1 and 2 of our Offense South Louisiana, all Louisiana team, season-ending team of seniors only. Today we're doing the defense. So this will be part 1. We'll talk about the D-line and the linebackers. And in part 2, we'll talk about DBs and also punters. So we'll split it up into 2 shows and hope you're going to enjoy both of the shows that we're going to do today. But today's show, this show is about the defensive line and linebackers, the all-Louisiana team, the best players that I saw in the state play. This is not based on all-state teams or all-district teams. This is just something I've been doing since 1991 with Louisiana Football Magazine, but we're doing a season-ending team. And then we're also going to do some sleeper teams of guys that didn't make this team, but they're sleepers that could be D1 guys or 1AA, D2. And then I'm doing a Heart of Champions team of the top players in the state that would fit Heart of Champions, meaning guys that were not very big, maybe not even prospects, but we've got a top list of Heart of Champion guys. There's a bunch of those too. But let's go ahead and talk about the defense, the South Louisiana, all Louisiana team defense. Let's start with the D-line. We've got a lot of great players. We're going to start with defensive end and outside linebackers. And the first player is Tasharion Stewart from Abbeville. This is a kid who looks as good as anybody in the state from the high school level for college. He's not nationwide, or his name's not out there for nationwide, but he is a big-time player. He's a 4-year starter. Long, tall, can run. I think he's D1. There's a DN outside linebacker from DeRitter. His name is Caneas St. Romain. 6'3", almost 6'4", 230 pounds. Can really run, has played tight end. I think he's as gifted as anybody that you'll see in the LSU signing class as a outside linebacker rush defensive end. Continuing on, the biggest sleeper that no one's heard of that I've seen play this year from Northwest High School around Opelousas is a kid named Mackenzie Ardoin. Mackenzie is 6'5", 215 pounds, and let me tell you, this guy looks like Arden Key from LSU when he played way back in the day. He can get after you. He's got a twitch, and his first step is like a 4.5 40, and he actually runs 4.6. Mackenzie Ardoin is a guy that I would go snatch up even if I was in LSU or Alabama. He's that good. There's just guys that are not being talked about that I've seen play. Continuing on at defensive end, outside linebacker, is a kid by the name of Traylon Gerald from East Feliciana, 6'4", 220 pounds, runs a 4.6 40. Was on the same team with Tredez Green when Tredez was there before he went to Zachary. Can you believe what kind of team that would have been at East Feliciana if Tredez would have stayed? East Feliciana, Derry Beckwith came out of there, was a great linebacker at LSU. They've had a couple go to Southern University. One went pro as a DB. Continuing on at defensive end, outside linebacker, Damon Davis from Patterson. You know, that's where Kenny Hilliard played, and Dalton Hilliard, Ivory Hilliard all went to LSU, except Ike Hilliard went to Florida. But Damon Davis is the next big-time player. He's a defensive end, 6'4", 230, can really run, and very gifted. Another DN outside linebacker signed with LSU, Kaleji Collins, who is 6'3", 215, from Destrehan. Great kid, hard, tough kid, great motor, runs a 4.59 in the 40. Kaleji is phenomenally gifted, and he's going to weigh another 30 pounds in another year or two. Look for him to be around 225 when he arrives at LSU. After the summer is over, he'll be a rush sack specialist He won't have to be 250, 240. He doesn't have to play every down. But to get on the field as a freshman, he'll just come in and rush the passer, something LSU lacked this past year. Another defensive end, Jaden Scott from Archbishop Shaw High School in New Orleans, Louisiana, signed with Tulane. Jaden can play the game, and Jaden is 6'4", almost 250 right now. Very gifted. It's going to be curious to see how big he gets. He might end up getting 270 pounds. He's very lean for 245, which is a good thing. I think Tulane got a steal with Jaden Scott. Sharon Burton from Booker T. Washington in New Orleans, 6'5", 245. Let me just say this. He's not on any national list, but he should be. He's gifted as anybody in the state. Just throw the film on and watch Booker T. Washington play. And I'll tell you, this guy can really, really play. He runs about a 4.8 40, and he is gigantically big and he's long. Melvin Hills, defensive end, could be a D tackle. Going to Texas from Lafayette Christian. I love his feet. I love his effort. I think he's going to be a great player for Texas. He's going to be a defensive end as a freshman if he wants to play. Probably needs a red shirt to get up to 300 pounds to go inside from 285. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the rest of the defensive line, and we're going to still get to linebackers before the show is over. We'll be right back. Hi, everyone. Lee Burkeen, your host of the Sports Scouting Report podcast. Today is part one of our All-Louisiana Team South defense, which is comprised Lake Charles, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, New Orleans, and everything in between, Houma, Lafourche, St. Tammany, Tangelo Parish, all of South Louisiana. We're going to continue on with defensive line. Timothy Maxson from D. LaSalle High School in New Orleans. Timothy's 6'1", 270. He's got a great motor. He's been starting for 3 years. As good as anybody in the state, but he's only 6'1". But look, Randall was great with the Minnesota Vikings. There's been a lot of great players, only 6'1", Henry Thomas at LSU. You can go on and on about all the great players in the NFL that are only 6'1", playing D-line, but he's got a great motor. Dominique McKinley, who's committed to LSU. We see if he'll sign in February at LSU from Acadiana High School. The thing about Dominique, he can play DN or D tackle. As a freshman, I think he can come in and play DN right away because he's chiseled at 285, 6'6", and he could easily get up to 300 and be a tackle and look just like a lot of those guys that you've seen over the years in the SEC for Georgia and Alabama, that you just can't move him. You know, he's super strong. I do think he's going to pan out and be a great player, but I don't think it's going to be his freshman year. I think he'll play as a freshman, but his sophomore year, when he gets up to about 310, he's going to probably be a nose guard or a D tackle inside, and he will be a phenomenal player for LSU. Continuing on, one of the best D linemen I saw the whole year, the last 2 years, from East St. John High School in Laplace, is Jamarion Zeno, who's 6'1", 6'2", 285 pounds, played DN for them. And off the edge, he was rushing the passers as good as anybody that I saw in Louisiana, and his effort is off the charts. This kid gives it 100% every play, and he's gifted. So he's gifted and he plays hard. Continuing on with D-line, Cornell Harris from St. Augustine High School, the Purple Knights in New Orleans. Very gifted DN, could be a tackle, could be a DN. He's got great feet. Very impressed with his pass rush game toward the quarterback in a very tough Catholic league. 6'2", 285 pounds. I think he's going to be a phenomenal player in college. Demarion Johnson from Westgate, who signed with LSU. Love this kid. His effort is off the charts. His junior year, when they won the state championship in 222, he was one of the key reasons they beat Edna Carr to go to the state championship game at Edna Carr. He dominated Edna Carr's 300-pound O-line. This kid's got great feet for a guy that's 295, 6'1". He's going to be an instant starter for LSU, I think, because he's rare. Great heart, gifted, great feet, super strong. Continuing the D-line around the Lafayette area, Zion Bowie. I love the name Zion Bowie. Lafayette High, great nose guard. This kid was born to be a nose guard. He's all of 315. He's all of 6'4", and he's very strong. He fits the spot. I think he's a big-time steal for anybody. I hope UL gets him. Continuing on in New Orleans, Archbishop Shaw for D-tackle, nose guard, is Kylis Francis. 6'2", 310. You can't move him. I know Hank Turney loves him. On film, he's been a great player for them for the last 2 years. Has lettered for 3 years. A big steal. One of the best D-tackles that had one great year and came out of nowhere is at Karen Crow High School, Caleb Williams. Caleb is 6'2", 330 pounds, and moved like he was 190. If he doesn't go to a D1 school, he goes junior college, he'll be the #1 defensive junior college recruit in the country. I'm telling you right now. He's very, very, he's a generational D lineman. Continuing on, one last D tackle I think is going to be a nose guard. He started at John Curtis High School in River Ridge. He finished at Riverdale in New Orleans. Kawar Franklin, 6'6", 320 pounds, gifted, and at times he shows that he could be a special player for the next level. We're going to take a break, and we've got one more segment with linebackers for part 1 of Defense All South Louisiana Team. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I hope you're enjoying the show. We're going to talk about linebackers for defense. Be sure to hit the subscribe up top and the like and the share for our YouTube page. Help us grow so you can get future shows of what we do. But we're going to continue on with the All Louisiana South defensive team for class of 224, and we're going to talk about linebackers. This is a hard position to pick players because a lot of guys that play linebacker in high school in Louisiana, they're not very big compared to when you're in Ohio or Pennsylvania or Chicago, Illinois, or California. They're bigger kids. So you really got to do your homework to find the best players. And I think Louisiana produces some of the best linebackers for college. Not a lot of them, but the ones that are good are phenomenal, like Devin White as an example. Devin's only 5'11", but he weighs 230 pounds of concrete. And he's a phenomenal player. We all know the story. He played running back at Northwestern, but he played linebacker at LSU. There's a lot of guys like that. And there's a lot of guys like that on my list today that are not nationally ranked, but they're chiseled. They're 5'11", 6 feet, most of these guys, and they can run and hit. They're tough kids. Let's go ahead and get started. The first Mike linebacker is Kendall Johnson, who's 6'2", 220 from John Ehret High School. John Ehret has produced many linebackers in college football, and they produce a lot of great college football players. Kendall, under the radar, can run 4'6", 4'7", and he's got the body. He's going to be 230 when it's said and done. To me, he's a plug-in as a D1 guy. He's underrated, didn't get any national attention. The next guy is Jaden Voisin from Belle Chase. Very interesting kid. Was a running back early on at Belle Chase, along as a linebacker. He's a true 6'2", 240 pounds, and can run a 4'7" 40. He is a specimen if you see this kid play. He missed some games this year, his senior year, but his junior year was off the charts. His sophomore year, he looked the part. But Voisin, to me, is as good as anybody in the country. I don't know why LSU didn't offer him, or Tulane, but I think in the end, whoever gets him, again, he's going to be a great player. And because of the transfer portal, go to small school and move up real quick. The next linebacker I have, I think he's a tackling machine. Phenomenal player from Acadiana High School. Shamarius Harris, 5'11", 225, can run. Is a former DB that grew into a linebacker. He was one of those guys that weighed around 200 pounds his junior year and got up to 225 and didn't lose any speed. He's a guy that's going to be a special player for someone that takes a chance on a 5'11" linebacker. Next player, speaking of small but phenomenal, the best 5'9" linebacker I've probably ever seen in 30 years in Louisiana. De La Salle High School, Kedrick Richardson, 5'9.5", let's say 5'10", 230, and he looks like a mini Devin White. I'm telling you, find some film on De La Salle, go watch him. I know people agree with me that have seen him play. He is a phenomenal football player, and I still think he did sign the early sign period. The next player, a guy that I saw that a lot of people don't know about, Centerville High School, right outside of New Iberia, small school, Jamari Aroy, who's originally from Assumption High School. He moved to the Lafayette area from Assumption because the coach knew him, who the head coach is from Assumption. But this kid played DN for the high school because he's the biggest D lineman on the team. But he runs a 4.6, 6'2", 235, and he's a specimen. I think he's a Mike linebacker. If you think outside the box and move him off the line because that's where they had to play him. If he would have played with John Curtis, he'd have been an all-state linebacker as a Mike linebacker. Remember A-Roy, what a great player. Continuing on at linebacker, there's some other great players. Kyle Cannon at St. Charles Catholic in Laplace had a great junior year, senior year. They've always produced great middle linebackers at St. Charles. There's actually one playing at Tulane right now. I think Kyle Cannon is phenomenal. Had over 100 tackles 2 years in a row. Can run a 4.6 and 220, 6'1". What else do you need? He's instinctive and he's tough. Continuing on, another phenomenal player. I think he's an SEC linebacker. Chase Square from Southern Lab High School, 6'1", 220. Phenomenal player. Strong, can run a 4.6 40, and looks like an SEC guy. The final linebacker I want to mention is Taji Butler from Edna Carr, 6'2", 220, can run 4.6, plays DN for Edna Carr, played up on the line, but also played a little Mike and outside linebacker. He's got the frame to weigh 250 when he's done. Taji Butler. Continuing on, we'll take a break. We'll come back and finish up linebackers for the rest of the show for part one of the All-Louisiana South defense for the class of 2024. We'll be right back. Hi everyone, welcome back. We're going to continue on talking about linebackers for South Louisiana, the All-Louisiana team for South Louisiana. Next week we'll do North Louisiana offense and defense. This week we're doing South Louisiana offense and defense. But we're talking about linebackers on defense. A kid I was able to see earlier this year from Ponchatoula High School, Albert Smith, signed with Arizona State, 6'2", 215, runs a legit, get this, 4.59 in the 40. Phenomenal player, smart kid, under the radar, and he's going to be I think he'll start as a true freshman at Arizona State. Continuing on. One of the best linebackers I saw in the state, nobody's talking about, another one from Thibodaux High School, Rashad Jackson. Rashad is 5'11", 210, again, not 6 foot tall. Looks like a mini Devin White. Rush the passer, great 40 speed, 4.6, 4.55, and knows the game. He can read the play before the play happens. Averaged 10 tackles a game. He's a phenomenal football player and played on a young Thibodaux team this year in 223 as a senior, and he looks the part. I'm telling you, Rashad Jackson is one of the best in the state. Continuing on, Peyton McFarland from McDonough 35 High School in New Orleans, Louisiana. Plays for a friend of mine, Frank Daggs, the head coach. Peyton is one of those guys that was a DB that kept growing. 190 pounds, got up to 200 pounds. Now he's 6'1", 205, and now he's an outside linebacker that runs a 4.5 in the 40, and he's formerly a track guy. He's got the stuff to be a great one in college. Continuing on, we got two more linebackers. Amir Hill from Acadiana, another DB that outgrew the position and became a linebacker. 6'1", 205 pounds, can run a 4.6, and a big-time hitter, very instinctive. The last player at linebacker is a guy that might end up being like a DN when he gains some more weight, but might move to his natural position, outside linebacker, from St. Charles Catholic in Laplace, Jaden Bro, who had a phenomenal senior year, 6'3", 200 pounds and long, could weigh probably get up to 230 very easily, but was a key reason for them getting back to the state championship game for the third year in a row. They finished runner-up this year to Calvary Baptist, but they won 2 state titles in a row in 21 and 22. I hope you enjoyed the show. This is part one of our defense All-Louisiana Team South, and our part two, make sure to see that. Make sure to subscribe to this show so you get part two of the defensive show which is the DBs, the corners, and the safeties, and the punters. And that'll finish the show in the long snappers. So this is the final part of part 1 for defense. I hope everybody enjoyed it, and we'll see you soon, hopefully, for part 2 of our All Louisiana South defense. We'll see you soon.
Thanks for watching the Sports Scouting Report with Lieber King.